Hello mga ka-learners, this is XerMar again, and I welcome you all to my new video lesson. And this time, I will discuss you on how to solve word problem involving quadratic equations. And first, we will state our objective. The learners are able to solve word problem involving quadratic equations. And recall the area and perimeter of rectangle and square. So we have the illustrations. Now we have the rectangle and we have the square, and we have the following formula. The rectangle, its area can be solved using the formula A equals to length times width. And for the square, its area is A equals S squared. Next, perimeter. The perimeter of a rectangle can be solved using the formula P equals 2 times quantity of L plus W. And for the square, we have P equals 4S. Now, note that the concept of area and perimeter of a rectangle or even the square can be applied in solving word problem involving quadratic equations. So, meaning to say, we will use the concept later to the following problems. Next, many word problems involving unknown quantities can be translated for solving quadratic equations. And the steps are: number 1, denote the unknown quantities as x, y, etc. Meaning to say, we can choose A, B, C, or any other letter or variable that we want to use to denote or to represent the unknown quantities. Next, use the conditions of the problem to establish in unknown quantities. To the problem, there are conditions. The conditions will guide us to denote our unknown quantities. Next, use the equations to establish one quadratic equation in one unknown. So we will set up our quadratic equation with one unknown, with one variable only. Next, solve the equation to obtain the value of the unknown quantities. So if we have our quadratic equation, we will solve it using the techniques in solving quadratic equation. But here, we will just use factoring. Okay, let us proceed to our example number 1. The product of two consecutive integers is 132. What are the two integers? And again, we will know our condition or the condition of the problem. So the condition says the product of two consecutive integers is 132. Now, if we talk about consecutive, the numbers are in order wherein the other number is one more than the other. And when we talk about integers, the numbers or these are signed numbers. So the numbers can be positive or negative. Next, our solution. Let the two consecutive integers be x and x plus 1, where x is smaller number and x plus 1 is the larger number. Again, as I have said a while ago, that the number is one more than the other number if we're talking about consecutive numbers. Next, the product of x and x plus 1 is 132. So we are talking about product. So we will multiply. So we have x times x plus 1 equals 132. Next, distribute x to x plus 1. So we will multiply x times x, x squared, x times 1, x, and equals 132. Next, our quadratic equation is not in standard form. So to make it standard, we will transpose the constant term to the other side. And take note that when we transpose, the sign will change. From positive, it will become negative, and vice versa. So we have now the new equation as x squared plus x minus 132 equals 0. Now, we will factor out. So we have this one. We factor x squared, so we have x, x. So we set up a factored form. We use a parenthesis. And now, take note that the sign of our constant term is negative. And I used to teach this one to my students that when the sign of the constant term is negative, the factors of this has different signs. One factor is positive, while the other one is negative. And since the numbers have different signs, we will subtract to get the numerical coefficient of our middle term. So now, ano ang clue? So we will think of a number or numbers that when we multiply, the answer is 132, and when we subtract, the answer is 1. And it will come to our minds that the numbers are 12 and 11. And again, the two numbers have different signs. So, which of them is positive and which of them is negative? So, here is what we're going to do. The sign of the middle term will reflect as the sign of our higher factor. So the positive one is 12. Okay, while 11, its sign is negative. Okay, we're about now to solve the value of x, or the values of x. And to solve for the value of x, or values, this is the simple way of solving the values of x. We will just get the opposite of this factor and also this one. So the values of x now are negative 12 and 11. Okay? So I have here the table. The first column is for x, and the second column is for x plus 1. So now, when the value of x is negative 12, our x plus 1 is negative 11. Why? We will just substitute the value of x, which is negative 12. And negative 12 plus 1 equals negative 11. And if we're going to multiply negative 12 times negative 11, that is equal to 132. And this is check. Next, if the value of x is 11, and if we're going to substitute it to the value of x here, so we have 11 plus 1 equals 12. And if we're going to multiply 11 or positive 11 times positive 12, the answer is 132. And this is also check. So therefore, we can conclude now that there are two sets of answers in our problem. The first set is negative 12 and negative 11. In the second set, we have 11 and 12. Again, the two sets are to be considered because we are talking about integers, and integers can be positive or negative. Next, proceed to problem number 2. A rectangular table has an area of 27 square feet and a perimeter of 24 feet. What are the dimensions of the table? Now, the conditions of our problem are the area of a rectangular table is 27 square feet, and the other condition talks about the perimeter, which is 24 feet. So we will set up our solution to find the dimensions of the rectangular table. Now, number 1, we have let x be the length and let y be the width. So we'll represent our unknown quantities as x and y. Okay, so when we're talking about the dimensions of the table here, we will be solving, or we will be finding the length and then the width. Next, number 2. We have the equation xy equals 27, and the equation is for the area. Since again, to solve for the area of a rectangle, we only multiply the length and then the width. And this will be our equation number 1. Next, we will set up the equation for the perimeter. And we have 2 times quantity of x plus y equals 24. Again, to solve for the perimeter of a rectangle, we have the formula 2 times quantity of length plus width. So we have this one. Next, number 4. We will substitute, or we will distribute 2 to the inside quantity. So we will multiply 2x, or 2 times x, 2x. 2 times y, 2y. And then, we transpose positive 24 to the other side. So it became negative 24 equals 0. So again, our equation here is 2x plus 2y minus 24 equals 0. And observe, our equation can be simplified. Why? Because the terms can be divided by 2. So we will simplify by dividing by 2. And the new equation is x plus y minus 12 equals 0. And this will be our equation number 2. Next, assign value for a variable x or y from either of the equations. Let's say we will assign value for y from equation 1. And note, our equation 1 is xy equals 27. And to assign value for y, we will just isolate y. How? By dividing both sides by x. So we have now y equals 27 over x. Next, substitute the value of y to equation 2. And we have equation 2, that is x plus y minus 12 equals 0. So substitute the value of y. We have now x plus 27 over x equals 12, or minus 12 equals 0. Now, since we have here a rational term or a fractional term, we will now multiply all terms by their LCD. And the LCD is x. And if we multiply x, or will distribute x to the inside quantity, or to the quantity inside, we have x times x, x squared. X times 27 over x, 27. X times negative 12, negative 12x equals 0. Now, our quadratic equation here, the terms are not properly arranged. So we will arrange the term according to the order of terms. Okay, so we have this one. The quadratic terms will come first, followed by the linear term, and then by the constant term. So we have the equation x squared minus 12x plus 27 equals 0. Note that we are just arranging our terms, so we don't need to change the sign. Next, we will factor out. So we have the factored form x from x squared. So again, observe the sign of our last term. It is positive. So therefore, the sign of the factors are the same. And since the signs are the same, we will add to get the numerical coefficient of the middle term. So we will think of numbers that when we multiply, the answer is 27, and when we add, the answer is negative 12. Now, we have 9 and 3. So, what would be the sign? Is it positive or negative? So the sign will depend on the sign of the middle term. Since the sign of the middle term is negative, the sign of our factors here are also negative. So we have the factored form, quantity of x minus 9 times the quantity of x minus 3 equals 0. Next, solve for the values of x. And we have, again, the simple way of solving the values of x is just get the opposite of this. So the opposite of negative 9 is 9, and the opposite of negative 3 is 3. So we have x of 1 equals 9 and x of 2 equals 3. So which of them will be our length? Now, the length x is 9. So we use to deal that the length is longer than the width. So we have the length as 9. Now, we will solve for the length that is represented by y. So we have y equals 27 over x. And this is our equation for y. And next, we'll substitute the value of known quantity, which is x. So we have y equals 27 over 9 and y equals 3. Now, baka sabihin ninyo na bakit hindi na lang agad ito yung sinolve or kinuha as the value of the length. So take note guys, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon na parehas yung value or the value is acceptable. So not all of the time na pwede natin siya i-accept. So be careful in solving or in stating the answer of the other quantity or variable. Okay, so the safe way in stating the answer is by substituting the value of known variable. Okay, to solve the other unknown variable. So now, our final answer is, therefore, the length x is 9 feet and the width y is 3 feet. If we're going to check 9 feet times 3 feet, the answer is 27 square feet. And that is the area. Check. For the perimeter, we have 2 times the quantity of 9 plus 3. 9 plus 3 equals 12 times 2, that is 24. And our perimeter is 24 feet. And that is check. Okay? And that's it. Maraming salamat sa maraming salamat sa panonood guys. And I hope na nag-enjoy kayo at may natutunan kayo ngayon sa lesson natin. And inaanyayahan ko po kayo na mag-subscribe sa YouTube channel ko. Nai-attach yung link kapag na-upload na tong video na to. So maraming salamat po.